Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we're on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
If you love the Selling from the Heart podcast, then you know how much we value authentic leadership and building relationships with heart. But here's the thing. Great leadership doesn't stop with sales. It starts at the top with CEOs who inspire trust, create meaningful cultures, and lead with purpose.
That's why we're excited to invite you to get involved with the Culture from the Heart podcast. On Culture from the Heart, we celebrate CEOs who are transforming their companies by putting people first. And we're asking you to help us find them.
Do you work for an incredible leader? Know a CEO who builds culture from the heart? Nominate them to be interviewed on the show. Together, let's spotlight the leaders who make businesses thrive by leading authentically.
So head over to cultureFromTheHeart.com to submit your nomination today. Because when leadership starts with the heart, culture and success follow. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, how much time do we have to unpack that one, Darrell?
Not much. Hey, welcome to the Selling from the Heart.
That was short.
We're here to talk to our great guest, Josh Perry. You're going to love this, and it's going to be an incredible conversation. We get to have amazing conversations all week long with our friends across the Selling from the Heart community. And so I always love to begin the show by giving a shout out to one of our friends.
Well, when we travel, we like staying at Marriott's. A special shout out to a dear friend of mine, Michael Marriott. You're a great leader on a great sales team. So thank you for being a part of this community.
Nice segue there. Very, very nice, Larry. Hey, we've got a great show today. This is going to be a fun conversation. Today's guest knows more than most about what it means to overcome adversity and perform under pressure, two things that are critical to sales success. Josh Perry is a former professional BMX athlete, an X-Game competitor who defied the odds by surviving and thriving after multiple brain tumors during his career. His journey through life-threatening adversity while still performing at the highest levels gave him a profound understanding of resilience, mindset, and human potential. Now, as a performance coach, Josh helps individuals and teams transcend their challenges, optimize performance, and thrive in sales, in leadership, and in life. His holistic approach to wellness blends neuroscience, emotional regulation, and mindset mastery to help people harness adversity as a fuel for growth. And he's here with us today. Josh, welcome to Selling from the Heart. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Our pleasure. This is going to be a good one, Darrell. I know it is.
Absolutely. And as we get started, Josh, you know the question we ask every guest on Selling from the Heart. What does Selling from the Heart mean to you?
I feel like this question has evolved for me because I used to think of sales as such like a sleazy thing. I was so conditioned to think it was something bad, and they'll use car salesman analogy, the snake oil salesman. So I was like, I don't want to do sales. And then I was wondering why my business wasn't growing, like my passion to help people. And thankfully along the way, I had a great mentor that helped me out and reconditioned my mind to see really it's just showing up as I am authentically today and just doing my best to be of service to people and helping them with the problems that they have in their lives. So I really love today dissolving problems, which we can talk a little bit about maybe later on. But I've learned that people really see their discomfort as something to label as a problem and try to solve it. And that's what's really got me into some of the toughest times of my life and also some of the greatest times of my life. So today I just love helping people see beyond what they're able to see, aka a blind spot, by showing up and doing what I love to do.
Oh, this is so good. And isn't that the epitome of what coaching to performance is all about? It really is.
Yeah, I believe so. I guess that's like something I believe too, is like we all can experience more than what we are. Keyword experience more, not do more. And we all are capable of doing more when we're able to see what we can't see on our own. So the first is by virtue. The second, blind spots. So much of us want to do more. We want to do all the things, and we're caught up on discipline and hacks and all these things. And it's like, all right, well, why are you doing that? I've learned a lot of the highest performers have a lot of internal wounds. We can call it trauma if you want. That's informing us, and it makes us great at what we do. That also comes with an expense. And thankfully, mine was early on, and I was able to have the capacity to start questioning myself and why I'm doing what I do, why I'm not doing those things. And my understanding of high performance has really shifted over the last decade and a half.
And what a story. BMX, X Games, and then some major adversity in the process of all of that. Would you be kind enough to maybe give our listeners a little bit of a window into the backstory and what brought you to where you are here today?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm in a place now where I can look at what I've been through and truly have compassion for what I've been through, which was something I was void of before. I was always, what I've learned now is weaponizing ownership against myself to give myself the sense of control that ironically I didn't feel like I had, which we never really truly are in control. And that started at a really young age. I felt a lot of insecurity, a lot of inadequacy of who I was and who I wasn't. And that led me to overcompensating with being good at things, doing things, and skillful at things. And sports came early in my life. And then BMX, thankfully, came into my life when I was about 14 years old, didn't make the freshman basketball team. And so stuck with BMX. And then that took me to dropping out of high school, moving from Massachusetts to North Carolina to train with the late, great Dave Mira and the other professionals that I literally played their characters on video games growing up and watching them games on TV. Wow. Was able to call them friends and training partners and competitors and just travel the world competing with them, training with them, and filming videos and all those things. And then after riding my first X Games in 2009, in the off season, I was training one day and got a concussion. The irony of this is up to a year to that point, I've been having headaches, migraines, vision problems. Vision was starting to blur and go day to day. And I kept going into the urgent care, the emergency room, doctor's offices asking for scans. Didn't know the difference between an X-ray or MRI. And it kept telling me, well, blood work doesn't show anything abnormal. You're young. I was 20 to 21, depending on the time of the year. You're a professional athlete. You're in shape. You're just having headaches. Give me some pain pills. And they tell me to come back if I needed more. So fast forward to the off season, March 2010, hit my head, got knocked out. Had to get a concussion. I had to get an MRI to make sure there wasn't any complications of the concussion. That's when they accidentally found the first brain tumor. Wow. It was about 8 centimeters long, 4 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters deep into my brain, which made sense to all the things that I've been suffering through. And that was what I call the catalyst to waking me up, to really getting me to think about what I was thinking, to think about what I was doing, think about who I thought I was and how I was showing up in the world. And that was, 15, almost 16 years ago. And things have just evolved in such a beautiful manner that looking back, it was probably the single best thing that ever happened to me, because everything that I experience moving forward now is going to be the catalyst, or is going to be by virtue of that being the catalyst. So several brain tumor diagnoses, surgeries, treatments, other injury surgeries. I was awake for the last brain surgery I had in 2021. Seizures, all the stuff, all the story that's there. But really, it was just achieving my biggest dream, my highest goal I'd set, the highest value I had. And then seeing how all that could be stripped away in a second really got me to truly audit who I was and what I wanted to do with my life, which put me on the path of how I'm here with you guys today.
Oh, this is so good. Thank you for sharing the story, at a high level. I know there's some deepness to that. Is when you start thinking about overcoming resilience, and you've been in peaks and valleys, just like salespeople, just like entrepreneurs. Walk us through your journey and what you've learned over the past 10 years or so as it relates to overcoming adversity, peaks and valleys, all the challenges, and still come out of this with such a positive mindset.
I think the biggest thing, the biggest thing I've learned is so simple. It's just a choice. It's remembering that we have choice. We have choice in thought. We have choice in perception. We have choice in perspective. We have choice. And this really became evident one day, like years ago, when I was talking to a friend of mine former BMX rider, I actually looked up to him, about the same age, but he was always, top 5 at contests. I was like, oh man, like I want to be there. And he stopped riding before I did. And he was talking about how he went through a suicidal moment or time period in his life. And he just kept remembering like the difference of humans and animals is we have choice. And that helped him. And just the simple way he responded when I asked him, I was like, what got you through that? And I was like, oh, that's what's always got me through everything is it wasn't really conscious of the word choice, but it was just vision. It was what I was working towards. And that's my biggest intention with any conversation like this, workshops, coaching, like whatever it may be, is if I can just leave whoever is there, who I'm engaging with the idea of awareness to choice, then I've done my job. If all else fails, because that's the first domino. So it doesn't matter how much mental, emotional, physical, spiritual pain I've ever been in. It always comes back to choice and just choosing to consider what can I gain from this moment, even if it's 10 years later. Looking at hindsight and learning to recondition my brain to hack hindsight in the moments of the peaks of values. What can I learn from this? What's the drawback of being up here? Those types of things. But it always comes back to choice. And I think what I've become passionate about is learning why and how that's the case. So that's why I've gone down the route of epigenetics and neuroscience and things like neuroplasticity, like all these things. It's like when I can see and understand a mechanism, that empowers me more to believe in choice. Call it faith, call it whatever you want, but that's the root of it, is choosing to commit to the vision I have in my mind for my ideal life beyond these circumstances. That's what's always helped me. And it hasn't been until the last maybe 5 years I've really understood that at a conscious level, and have gone in on learning more about how that process works.
Well, obviously you've been through some incredible adversity, and it feels small to compare that to the adversity that we face in sales. But at the same time, it is adversity, right? All in the role of sales as an entrepreneur, we face roadblocks, we face challenges. Sometimes it's, sometimes it seems like a week or 2 or months of challenges. Coach us through how to apply what, if you would be so kind as to how to apply what you're talking about just in the context of somebody in the middle of a sales career that's facing adversity. What would you say to them?
First, I would ask a question. I'd ask, what's going on? Try to get an understanding of their world, how they're internalizing it, what it's mirroring to them, whether they're aware of it or not. Just asking about, what is this experience like for you? Because from there, then we can go to the meaning. What meaning are you applying to this? And this is where I've learned to get into the idea of dissolving problems rather than solving problems. Not to say problems don't exist and problems aren't an opportunity, but most of us at various times, if not all of us at various times in our lives, apply a meaning to an outcome or not getting an outcome. So maybe the outcome, desirable, undesirable, as what it means about our worth. And so in sales, I've gone through this myself, being a solopreneur for I don't know how long now, not realizing I was an entrepreneur as an athlete, and now with the business I'm leading and building. Oh, I'm not making the sales I want. I'm not signing on the clients I want. This must mean I'm not good enough, or I need to do more, or I'm not as good as them, or I'm missing something. I don't have enough skill, like whatever it was up until the moment I became aware of it, which is why I have a coach. I was applying all this limiting meaning that wasn't helping me getting forward, but it was affirming my rightness. So that's the very tricky, nuanced piece of human beings. We love being right, even if it's in our own misery. So the idea of getting addicted to our suffering, it's not desirable, but to the nervous system, it feels good because it's familiar. So when it comes to situations like that, I just love to ask a lot of questions. Especially what meaning are you making about this? And then bringing them through a process to see that empirically it's not true. But from the past, something happened where this event feels familiar and it's anchoring them to the past. And with physics says it's going to be predictable moving forward. So you can try harder, you can learn more tactics and all that. But if you don't get in here, if you don't open up your heart, if you don't get in touch with your emotions and your feelings, which I know is a little uncomfortable, especially for men these days, it's becoming a little bit more talked about. But if you don't do that, you don't get to the energy in which is informing you, then it's going to be predictable. You can do all the force you want. You can try harder. You can be more disciplined. There's going to be expenses along the way, or you may not get the results you want.
Oh, you talking to me? I was just wondering if you're talking to me, Josh, because
he's talking to me. Talking to everybody.
I think he's talking to everyone.
I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to all of us.
It's all good. But I still want to continue this conversation. I like this word dissolving, but there's another word that you used, and I'm trying to figure out how they both go together. I know they go together, but how do you dissolve one's misery? Because there's a lot of us, and I'll hold up my hand that sometimes I like to wallow in misery. I don't know why, but I just do sometimes. How do you coach somebody through at the beginning stages? They've acknowledged it, but how do they dissolve it?
Yeah. So without us having an exact dialogue to work off of, I can kind of speculate. But when it comes to dissolving one's misery, typically it's because we're placing the meaning on it and we're not seeing beyond the meaning. So I'm like nerding out lately and studying like quantum physics to the best that I can get into it right now. But essentially the waves of possibility were collapsing to the particle. So instead of being energy and possibility, we're becoming matter. So we feel the misery and our mind thinks equal to how we feel. And then we feel how we're thinking. It becomes a loop that creates our sense of who we are, personality. And that personality is what creates our personal reality. So when it comes to an undesirable experience that's chronic or acute, or whatever we want to call our misery or suffering in that moment, if it's something that is familiar and is affirming our deepest insecurities, our subconscious beliefs, and all these types of inner workings of being a human, if we don't see it for what it is as an opportunity, it's just information, then we're going to continue sticking to that pattern of being ourselves. So that's the first part of coaching someone in that case is how do we become someone different? Because we know that if you continue thinking the thoughts you've been thinking, then making the similar decisions that takes the same behavior and actions, that gives you the same experiences that you feel, the emotions or the end products of experience, and that just keeps driving that loop again and again and again, you're going to continue experiencing the same things. That's Newtonian physics Newtonian model of physics, cause and effect. So what I love helping people do in dissolving problems or dissolving misery, whatever you want to call it, is it's really the illusion that something shouldn't be the way it is. So as soon as we can accept that this is what's happening, and then who are we to have the audacity that we could, design life to be any other way? As soon as we can accept it and then look at it for what we can learn from it, that's when we can start being someone different. But until we choose to be someone different, meaning we think differently, we feel differently, and we behave differently, then that lesson is going to continue to come up and teach us again and again until we finally get it. So when it comes to dissolving something, we just have to think outside of who we are, which is incredibly difficult, especially when it's physically painful. I've been in some of the most painful experiences I've ever imagined. And it's incredibly difficult to think beyond yourself. And that's the very thing that's going to give you a different experience, is thinking beyond yourself, thinking beyond the circumstance. So that's something I like to say is like, can you choose to be defined by your vision rather than your circumstances, despite the pain right now? Pain is just temporary. The meaning we apply to things can last a lifetime if we're not aware of it.
So I'm thinking, let's apply this. Let's get super, super practical for our friends listening in, and for me and Larry. Let's get on this. No, seriously though, let's think. Let's just think of a scenario. So I've been working on a deal. It's a deal that is going to, has the potential to accelerate me forward. Things have been going great. I'm feeling very confident about this. I feel like I've done everything right, and all of a sudden it gets down to the 2-yard line, and we can't shove this thing into the end zone. And now, I've put so much of my my year into this deal, so much of my time. I've neglected other things to work on it, and now I'm sitting here with no deal. And now I'm beginning to spiral. Right, this happens as salespeople and entrepreneurs, and if I'm hearing you right, I'm beginning to spiral because I'm assigning meaning to that scenario, right?
Yeah, even think of how you led into it. I put so much time and effort and there's so much energy and value in terms of the meaning wrapped into it.
Yeah.
Because if we think about when we don't get what we want, it's just as interesting as when we get what we want. The difference is the meaning we apply to it subconsciously. So if we've been putting all this time, this energy, and maybe resources, and talking to these people and doing that, whatever it is, and then like that thing doesn't happen, of course we're going to feel some kind of negative manner because we didn't get what we expected. We didn't, it's the cause and effect. If I do this, which is most of us, we think if I do this, if I do all these things, work super hard, and I'm the greatest at sales, the greatest at whatever the service is I'm trying to provide. If I just show up and do these things like everyone says I should, then that thing should happen. So there's a lot of context there too. What's the energy in which is informing that behavior? Is it fear, lack, inadequacy? It's just because you do something and maybe you do it well, if the energy in which you're doing this in sales is incredibly important. If you're showing up and someone can feel your energy, even the slightest bit is a bit off or needy or transactional, they're not going to be able to articulate it, but they're going to be, it just doesn't feel right. Even if it makes sense, I don't know. And then we can go to the tactics list and all this stuff and pull out all the tricks and it still doesn't work. So that's the first place to begin, is what energy has been informing this path that you've been taking? Because then we get to the event, and then the event occurs. And in this case, the sale didn't go through.
It just got stuck. It's just right there. It hasn't crossed the goal line, just stuck.
So that's where energy comes in as well. What meaning are we applying to this stuckness? That's one of the first questions I ask any of the people I come in contact with, whether it's a consultation call or it's a client first starting out, a client session, even reminding to ask myself this, like, where am I feeling frustrated, stuck, or limited right now? Let's identify that. In this case, it's the sale. Okay, cool. What meaning am I applying to this? What energy is informing that meaning? Because maybe it's like resentment or expectation. I've been putting all this time in. It's just not going anywhere. This must mean I'm missing something, or I'm not doing something good enough, or someone else is doing it better. Or maybe they just, all the stories we get into about what they're saying or what we think they're saying. So that's the second place to unpack is what's the stuckness? What's the story? And that's if this reminds me, if you guys want like a simple framework that anyone can take away, it's the 4 elements of our psychology simplified, like how our mindset, like when we talk about mindset and psychology, this is a very simplified tool to use. The first layer or element is stories. They're the suggestions that we hear, especially growing up listening to or watching cartoons, listening to our parents, movies, TV shows. The stories are what code the programming of how our mind begins. And over time, we start suggesting our own things to ourselves. And we then build the second layer, which is beliefs. And then beliefs become the filter in which we see ourselves in the world. It also determines what we see. This is where blind spots come in. Because if we believe that, let's say the story is people with money are bad, or money doesn't grow on trees. We've all heard that, right? Money's the root of all. You guys help me out? Fill in the blank.
Evil.
Exactly. Right. We hear these stories.
Right.
And then we find evidence in the environment to point to. See, it must be true. And then it builds a loop that becomes a belief. And then that belief is people with money are bad. People with money are evil. And then we see that. And then it continues to affirm it. And it filters more of that. Doesn't mean people with money that are amazing human beings aren't out there, but our brain is filtered for that. And then it creates the third layer, our values or our motive to do something or not do something, approach something or avoid something. And as we go through this loop again and again, that sense starts to form our sense of the last layer, our identity, our I am statements or I am not statements. So coming to this example of the sale stuck, the first thing I love to ask people is, what's the story here? What story are you making this mean about this or yourself? Because that gives us another glimpse of their reality. We don't just have like little LCD screens above us. It's like, Larry feels stuck right now. Must be this, and that. We have to have conversation.
Wouldn't that be helpful?
I don't know.
This is such a relevant, massively relevant conversation. And I mean, you got to come back for more. I mean, we've got to get more at Josh Perry. I just started thinking about this, and Darrell, we could, sign this thing off. But think about this. What layers upon all of what Josh said, that is like gasoline on the fire and all of this, is the sales manager and all the pressure that the sales managers squash down on that salesperson who's already in some spiraling misery already. And then they get questioned. It's just a never ending box of Fruit Loops.
And then think about the sales manager. What pressure are they under?
Yes.
What type of energy are they approaching leadership from? And I see a lot of this with the clients I work with. It's a lot of forced energy. We just got to try harder. We got to work harder, more hours. And when I come in, I try to disrupt it. I'm like, how can we be approaching this differently? And when I talk with people that go out and run sales, they're building relationships, they're, doing all the things. I've had clients come to me and they're like, I feel like I'm doing this. I feel like I'm being needy. And I'm like, well, maybe that's why the sales aren't going through. Great observation. And then I asked them, first of all, there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. It is what it is. That's one of the biggest challenges, but the most profound shifts of energy is to stop judging ourselves. It is what it is. What's life is happening, or life did happen. And it happened the way it did. And it couldn't happen any other way because it didn't. It couldn't have because it didn't. And as soon as we can get that, that's when the door opens. And when it comes to the sales manager and the sales team, there's so much pressure. What energy is feeling that? It's fear. It's lack. It's inadequacy. Maybe a combination of the both, or all three of them, I should say. And then when you go out doing the thing, that energy is what's informing how you show up. People are emotional beings. They can feel it. Our nervous systems got perception cells. Like we're very complex, but it can also be simplified. And so when it comes to the stuckness, I mean, just understanding these layers. What stories am I saying? What stories am I making? What meaning am I making? What is that driving more of a belief of who I am? And then how am I compensating for that? Of course, all this starts from our childhood. It's just human nature. We can't avoid that, but we don't need to know any of that. Just right now, how am I operating? Because if we can understand that, then we have a clear roadmap moving forward. It's just doing things opposite to how we've been doing them. Or the thing doesn't have to change, but the energy has to shift. Either which way, that then creates the next obstacle, which we could talk about another time. And that's resistance to the tools that have got us here, that have created all this success and got us in this moment. What is that going to be like moving forward? Because we've all adapted strategies, mechanisms, all the things to be in this moment. And as soon as we crack the awareness door open and see how it's costing us at the same time now, it's very scary to let that go, because the unknown that we inject the fear into, because we don't truly fear the unknown, that's when that next challenge, that next hurdle comes. So it's a fun place to be once you accept that that's reality. And then what I said earlier, like learning things, being educated on things, at least to the simplistic form, it's going to happen. It's predictable. So then you can have a little bit more faith moving forward and ask, what choice do I want to make now? In story, in emotion, in all the things. So again, we can talk about that whole series on that sometime. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, is just be in a place to ask the question, to choose to ask yourself, what am I choosing to make this mean about me and or the circumstance? It's a choice.
So powerful. Josh, I know our listeners are asking the question, how do I get more Josh Perry in my life?
Well, maybe we'll chat again sometime. I'd love to do that.
Good. We'll put some links in the show notes. Josh, I am so grateful that you've shared your heart with us today. This has been extremely helpful. As Larry said, I'm pretty sure this won't be our last conversation. Thank you on behalf of everyone in our community for investing in us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun. And I know I did a lot of talking today, but the questions you guys posed was teed up really well. And I appreciate it. And appreciate you and I creating a relationship over the last, 2 years now, Larry, and making this happen. Yeah. It's been a minute, and I've enjoyed it. And great to meet you, Darrell. Appreciate you guys.
Love it. Thank you, Josh. Amazing conversation, challenging questions. What meaning are you putting to the circumstances in your life, in your sales career? Very, very important questions. This would be a great episode to sit down with a cup of coffee and a notepad and write down some of this stuff and go deep. And this is, this inner work that we talk about, and being aware of what's going on here and in our hearts is so crucial to being successful in this role, and also in our lives.
There's one word that I took away, and it's just that it's looping in my head now, and it's choices, Darrell. Mm-hmm. We all have choices on what to think, how to act, how to carry ourselves, and so forth. Is we got to choose the right story and frame up the right story and quit the head trash.
That's right.
Coming from somebody who loves head trash.
We could take out the head trash. That's a great action item. Let's just take out the head trash. But these moments of adversity give us opportunity to recognize this stuff. If we'll hit the pause button and just take a breath for a moment and ask some of these questions that Josh challenged us with today, we actually have the opportunity in adversity to take out some of the head trash and some of the things that have been holding us back. So what a great conversation. We've got lots of excellent conversations queued up throughout the holidays and on into the new year. So stay tuned. Thank you to everybody who is liking the show, leaving a review, following us on YouTube. All of these things are helping us spread this movement of authenticity and trust right here in the profession we all love. So till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust. Do that inner work. Pause and ask the questions. And most of all,
sell from the heart.